Pride, you hit on it a while ago. Pride stops a lot of people from succeeding, I think. You know, you tend to get your pride and you don't want to give in. Ruins a lot of lives. Where'd you get the name Mook?
Oh, my mother gave it to me. Oh, she said it was a wonderful guy that played for the New York Mets named Mookie Wilson.
Mookie Wilson.
And she always pushed me to play baseball. But I turned out to play football, so I couldn't be that Mook. So I had to be my own Mook.
So I'm gonna take this back a little bit from what you were talking about a while ago, because
Yes,
I know two people who have died and come back on the table. Did you see anything when you're on that other side? Because my dad saw this. My dad was in pain for the last 30 years of his life, and he went in for his, I don't know, he took that dye, that contrast. He was taking some kind of MRI, and he died on the table, I don't know, a few minutes. And when he came home, he told me, he says, and I didn't understand it at the time. He said, I want to go back. I was like, you want to go back to the hospital? He said, no, dude, this is what happened while I was there. He said, I died for like 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. And he said, I saw a light that they talk about. And he said, there was no pain. There was nothing. He said, I felt so good. He said, I felt better than I ever felt in the past 50 years. And he said, I want to go back. I said, do you feel that was God or Jesus? Or he said, I don't know about all that. He said, but there was something there. There was a light and a force that was pulling me. And he said, they brought me back, and the nurse asked him if he remembered anything, and that is what he remembered. He didn't remember, dying. Obviously, you're dead, so I guess you don't realize that the heart machine goes straight line. But he came back, and he told me that afternoon, and I was like, man, that's crazy. He said, I'm telling you, Rob, he said, I want to go back to that moment. Did you feel something like that? I know you said you heard a voice. Did you see a light? Did you see anything?
What I saw was a lot of memories. And it's just like it holds you in abeyance. If you ever been a surgeon, they shooting you with that medicine to put you under or whatever, and you get like a fuzzy feeling.
Yep.
And you know how the chemicals going through your that tube to your veins. You know how you gonna feel like a little warmth.
Mm-hmm.
But all I can tell you is what I saw, and I saw my kids, and I saw just family members, friends. I just seen a lot of, it's like snapshots, and so during those snapshots, that's when I heard the still voice, and the still voice just kept telling me stop praying for myself and pray for others. It's like it wasn't nothing miraculous like a movie gonna show you. It's just something that is innate in you. It's a part of you, and you know it. And it's like when you under and going in that environment and it's feeling like that warm. That's probably what your father was saying, because he probably was seeing snapshots of his life and memories of you and your family members and where he's at. You don't want to come back. It's like you don't want to wake up. So I can understand it from that aspect. But it's like I kept hearing that voice. Is pray for others, and and that's all I can tell you that I remember.
Now, do you, at that moment, did you realize that you had died?
No, I just knew I had to obey a command, and I was just. It's like you held in obedience. It's like
I got goosebumps right now. I'm not kidding you. I know it's 66 degrees in the house right now, but I got goosebumps listening to this story, man. I mean, I'm very intrigued by that.
Yes, sir. Now,
things in nature, things in the natural order. It's natural because it's what we're used to. There's a lot of levels and there's a lot of things in the world and in existence that we don't get to handle and we don't understand every day. It's not our place to understand. We understand our part of it and do the best we can while we're in it.
Yes, sir.
There are, I believe, the crazy thing is not someone coming back and talking about something incredible. That's not crazy to me. Something crazy to me is thinking this is all there is, thinking that this is the only planet with people and life on it, thinking that this is the only universe with life in it, thinking this is the only plane of existence when it could potentially be just infinity. I mean, just immeasurable. All the different simultaneous realities that could be going on. There are just so many things, and not going left here and trying to get real wild and crazy with it. But in the scheme of how things are affected, we are both insignificant and irreplaceable at the same time. We can't comprehend how our simple existence can impact 100 generations from now because of one thing we did on one day. I'll tell you one thing, Mook. This is, I never told you this. My grandfather was the fire chief of Tyler, Texas. He was an incredible man. I will never measure up to him. He's a king. And I will tell you, he told me a story one time about, people being meant for different things. And sometimes it's something everyone can see, and sometimes it'll be something only a few people can see. But there was a guy who was born, he had a deformity. He was born and he had this one arm was not formed right. It looked like a little bird arm. That's how Granddad described it. And he was a real nice guy and worked his butt off, but he just had that one little arm on that one side. He was visibly different from everybody. People were used to seeing him, but and no one was disrespectful or anything, but they all kind of looked down and pitied him instead of, just saying, hey, he's just different. It's going to take him he's going to have to be different to do the same thing, but he's just like everybody else. Everyone was kind to him, and he was a member of the community, and they loved him, but he was just different. And he walked everywhere back then. That in the country, everybody pretty much walked everywhere they went if they were poor. And there was a car that had caught fire. It had been in a wreck, and the fire department had been dispatched, and they got there, but they didn't have all their tools, and the car caught fire. And the car had like a 16 or 17-year-old girl in it who was awake, and she was screaming for help. And the window, they had different windows back then. It were real tough. And all the firemen were grabbing and trying to get close. But these big, giant, huge alpha specimens, they were all alphas. But they would run up and the heat was too much for them. They couldn't get close enough to try to shatter anything with a different tool or an axe or anything. It was just too hot. The girl was still currently safe. It wasn't touching her yet, but she was screaming, she was praying, she was begging, she was calling on the Lord. She was begging the men she could see who could see her to help her, and they couldn't. And it just so happened on that one little moment of that one little day, this guy who thought they was a little slow, he was deformed, so he was always seen as weaker than everyone else. But all of the experience of his entire life of being seen as weaker, seen as less than, seen as not much, all this built him to be stronger than everyone else around him when it mattered the most for that one daughter of some parents he'd never met. And that little man went over there, and his malformity allowed him to get his arm in between the glass and the top.
Amen.
The fire was cooking him, but he was so tough on the inside that he didn't give a damn about what happened on the outside. And he got his arm in there, and he got that door unlocked, and he got that baby out of that car, and the fireman put him out. And he went from being less than to being a hero. He went from being broken to being the example. And dang, but there's not but one being, I don't say man, I say there's not but one being that can do that. And that's someone that plays a game we can't comprehend with pieces we don't even know exist. And that might have been his whole entire purpose, was for that 1 minute on that one day. But I think he reignited something in the entire community. And the one day that he was burning and cooking for love, only for love of someone he didn't even know, the minute he did that, an entire community themselves ignited on the inside. And that's how it works. The silly little things that people say are crazy, or I could never, or I would never, or that's not possible. That mindset is the only thing that's crazy. Thinking we're all that there is, and that's all that there's going to be. To me, that's literally the only kind of crazy that's out there. I don't dive in and subscribe easily, but my mind and my heart try to stay open about as much as humanly possible.
I literally believe we are probably a piece of rice in this whole equation.
That's a lot bigger than I thought we were. I thought we might be rice dust. You know, I mean,
literally to think that this place, you look up in the sky at night and you see all those whatever's out there. I mean, there's stars, moons, everything, but there's things out there that we don't even know about. And to think that we're the intelligent ones sitting here on this little blue ball with all this other stuff going around, thinking there's nobody out there that knows anything else. Man, I got a feeling that there's somebody out there that knows a whole heck of a lot more than what we know.
For me, the greatest takeaway line from a movie in modern history, it was actually a series that was out for a while. In the very beginning, it was called True Detective. Mm-hmm. And that series had two East Texas boys in it, Mr. Mike McConaughey and it had Woody Harrelson. Okay? Woody Harrelson. All right. So this whole movie, this whole show, if y'all hadn't seen it, it's like a dang train wreck. You got, like most of them, you know, it keeps you up, keeps you down. These two guys are detectives. You know, they straddle the line on ethical, you know, because we're in a world where you got to be creative sometimes. Sometimes good men got to do bad things for the right reason. I mean, that's a realization a lot of people have. And you got men of God and you have warriors of God. And that's something I heard a long time ago that spoke to me, that, they both have a purpose. Don't throw stones at each other. Both of them have a purpose. They weren't built by you. They were built by somebody else, and trust in that. And this show, right at the end, there was a scene where some stuff had the worst stuff, and they had uncovered where some bad stuff had been happening to kids. And they handled business. They stood on it, and they sanitized the situation. That's about as polite as I know how to put it. And there wasn't going to be repeat offenders. Well, they rolled in hot. They did what they did. They took some lead themselves. And the closing of the movie, of the series, the whole season, you watch the whole dang thing. And right at the end, they're sitting like in Louisiana or East Texas, and they're sitting outside of a ER. And you figure it's probably 2 or 3 in the morning. And, they got their cigarettes and doing all that. And you know how Woody Harrelson's cadence is when he's talking, you can't hide East Texas if you ever born into it. And same thing with Woody Harrelson. I mean, with McConaughey, they both got it in different ways. And they're sitting there, and Woody Harrelson, they're looking up at the night sky, not a cloud in the night sky. Woody Harrelson, they just experienced this horrible thing. Two men went in and did something that can't undo what was done, but it was the closest thing to justice we can comprehend. And it stopped future threats from those individuals. And Woody Harrelson, you could tell he had the half empty glass, and he looked up at the stars at night in the sky, and he said, you ever just feel like sometimes there's no real point in this? I'm paraphrasing a lot, but he said, you ever feel like there's no real point in this, and that the dark's just taking over? And McConaughey, being McConaughey, he kind of laughs. He said, I think that's where you're wrong, brother. And he said, because in the beginning, all there was darkness. Looking up at these several billion stars, if you ask me, the light's winning. And that's what I took with me ever since I saw that.
I may have to go watch that. I had heard of it, but I'd never watched it.
It was great. And that last line, that last scene was a profound message. You may look up and you may see darkness from swath to swath, horizon to horizon. But there are 100 billion or a billion. We just can't see that far.
Infinite, baby.
Of all these stars. And if in the beginning, if there was only darkness, then yes, the light is winning. And by proxy, if your world as an individual or the world we live in starts to feel like it's getting darker, don't be scared. The light's not going out. You got to have darkness for the light to come in. So that just tells you getting ready. You getting ready to be winning with a new beginning. That's what's fixing to be happening. And that's a cosmic season that's beyond our comprehension.
When you got out like a year and a half ago, what was your biggest what was the biggest adaptation? I mean, you had to adapt because I mean, it had been 21 years. What was the biggest difference?
Technology. Technology was number one. Number two is the temperature of society, because where we come from, it's a controlled environment, and you got rules and regulations in which you follow. So when I came out here, I'm seeing the technology. I'm looking on the corners. There's not no payphones. Things that were I know where I'm going, but the buildings that were there are no longer there. It's a lot of things going on, and then you got people who are me. I'm gonna be nice and say me first, and they're not very respectful about it. And the place I had just come from, that's not tolerated. So I had to learn to really, as a person of faith, I had to really get a hold on my control and just understand that some people are not, they haven't arrived yet, because the technology was killing me. So when I walk up to somebody and ask them, excuse me, can you help me activate my GPS or do this so I can find a location? People look at you like you crazy. They act like you from another planet. And so that was my biggest adjustment.
I've heard of people, once they do get out, and I've heard of people want to do something to get back in, because they become accustomed to that, and they don't know or can't deal with the outside world. Has that happened, not to you, but while you were in there? Have you seen repeat offenders come back because they just couldn't adapt to the society?
Yes, sir. And a lot of people think that they get the misconception that a lot of former inmates, or I say captives, that they don't want to be out in society, that they just like it in jail and all that. It's not that. It's when you're because of something you may have done or may not have done, you're taken away from a society in which you go down there and you're in a society to where everything is determined for you. You don't have a choice. You don't have a say in nothing. You don't have an identity. You're a number, and it's stripped down, especially for people like me that's been away from society for so long, decades. And that's the word, decades. Seven presidents, elections. You've been gone, and so when you're trying to come back, you think things are the same as when you left it, and it's not. And then when you don't have a support system because people have died off, people have moved on, or you blacklisted, nobody wants to deal with you. You don't have the help that you need to get on your feet, and so you're going to revert back to what you know is which your mindset is still. A lot of times it's going to still be the same if you don't have no help, because it's called arrested development. You go in with just say you go in at 15. A lot of guys get out at 50, But if they haven't matured or grown in down there, they
They're
still gonna
still
have the
15.
mind of a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. So you just have a grown man or a grown woman in a grown person body, and so they can't function. And so I hate to say it, in a way it's not their fault, because a lot of times down there they don't help you to rehabilitate yourself, because it just warehouses you. So if you don't have an incentive to learn nothing or do nothing, you're not going to do nothing. Some people are not just naturally motivated, and so that happens. And you got these same individuals with the same mindset, with the same skill set, with the same thinking process.
It's
It's
never
going to
going
get
to
back
change.
out.
Well, the
Right.
the prison system is not set up to rehabilitate, which is kind
No.
of jacked. It's actually set up to make a whole lot of money from commissary, cheap labor, and $4 or $6 or $8 a minute when people got to call home. That's really what it's set up for. And so they'll make sure that they've always got folks, and it's not the people on the inside that's paying for it. It's the taxpayers and the people, the family members who are paying for all of this. So it's a money, like everything, that old saying, money is the root of all evil. The idea of jail, the idea of prison is an understandable one and is necessary, but it's been utilized and co-opted to become this human industry where they get cheap labor. They get, they make crazy money off of commissary. How much was a candy bar in there, Mook?
A candy bar was like $1.25, $1.35, something like that. Cause I work commissary. The soups,
Yeah.
so like the county, the soups, they went from like 75 cents, now they're like $2 a soup. You got the sodas. The sodas are $1.50. The Pink's ice cream were like $4.75. And so if you take Texas prisons where you got 144,000 inmates locked up, and they're saying it takes, I think, between $18,000 and $25,000 a year to take care of one prisoner, and you got 144,000, and you got your own personal entity on the stock market. TCI, they make mattresses, furniture, and stuff like this. You got all this on the stock market. And the prisoners are not getting paid. We don't get paid. So if you look,
you don't get paid nothing
on the stock market.
As a prison, well, it depends. Some states they do, but just in Texas in general, and keep in mind too, they are prisoners. But for me, if the prisoners are going to be working, we need to be fixing the roads. We need to be doing stuff like that. That's for the infrastructure for the community. And by proxy, men have an opportunity to start learning a trade. So if they are ever released, they know how to do plumbing. They know how to do electrical. They know how to do HVAC.
asphalt and whatever.
Yeah. And basically, and you start because it is prison. So you start with the jobs, but you do that, you start and many of these men may have never had structure, because I think the ratio, he had mother and father in the home, but it's like 94 or 96% of the men locked away in prison grew up without a father in the house. Is that accurate, Mook?
That's about accurate. Because I had a 2-parent home until I got 10, but from 0 to 10, I learned responsibility. I learned the things that I was supposed to learn, from a father. You know what I'm saying? So that's right.
So that was halfway through your raising and building, so you could fall under that category.